All right, let's talk about Jonjoe Kenny.
Ole, ole, ole. Ole, ole, ole. Ole, ole, ole.
I think the situation with this is simple. Kenny's contract expiring at the end of this season, and Hertha Berlin could only guarantee money now with a sale like before the end of the transfer deadline. So a deal with the Blades with a long-term contract for Jonjoe, I think makes sense for all parties. United in need of a right back, Hertha in need of the funds. Kenny presumably wants to come back to England. So like I say, it could work out as a deal for all parties. I actually wrote this a little while back on Twitter, or now known as X, and as per usual with everything I write on social media, got a fair bit of stick for it. But do we now look back at this and agree? Does Chris Wilder agree with this sentiment? Here's what I wrote. Looking back at my notes and reviews from Chelsea fans when we brought in Gilchrist, it could be we already have our centre-back and that right-back is the next priority signing after the rumoured current deals. Chelsea fans sharing with me how good he is at centre-back, end quote. So do you think that that is what we've done here? Time will tell, because I'm a fan of what I've seen from 𝗤𝗵𝗲 𝗕𝗿. So we would have a number of right-back options with Kenny. Jonjoe is 27. He'll be 28 in March. He's 5'9", great height for a man. Liverpool-born, an Evertonian by blood, so he'll have been delighted when he came through the Everton youth system, where he was made professional in 2014. He had to wait a couple more years for his Premier League debut, which happened in the May of 2016 against Norwich City. And in total, he played 69 times for the Toffees and enjoyed loan spells at Wigan and Oxford in the 2015-16 season. Then it was a loan to Schalke 04 in Germany, Celtic, before finally moving to Hertha Berlin in 2022. And Kenny has represented England through the youth age categories up to and including England under 21 with 16 caps and 1 goal. Probably unlikely that he will play for the full senior England side, but you never know. He's been a success and a regular at Hertha this and last season. This season, playing every match he was available. So that's brilliant. Get this season in Bundesliga 2, it's 18 appearances, 1 goal, 6 assists. That's 24% goal participation from right back. That's a sentence I've never said before in my life. 10 goal-creating actions. Another new stat that I don't understand. But here's one I do. He's picked up 4 yellow cards. Jonjoe has learnt fluent German, apparently. This has endeared him to the fans. Not a given with British players to learn a language when they go abroad, as we all know. David Beckham. He leads the chanting from the pitch after matches. Hertha fans have told me this. They apparently adore that. The fact that he's learnt their songs too is a quality trait. He gives his all, therefore, we can deduce, to embrace the culture and the ethos of the teams he plays for on and off the pitch. He's all in. Chris Wilder loves that. We know that. Players that get it. Hertha fan Jamie McKenna, and a good friend of mine who's given me a lot of this information, said Hertha fans weren't sure about Jonjoe to start with. He had a bit of a tricky start in the Bundesliga after his move, but he's now a firm fan favourite. Gutted to see him go. Really top guy as well. 𝗤𝗏𝗲, a Hertha fan on Twitter, when this was initially rumoured, and we were just seeing speculation a few days ago, said, this guy is up and supporting every Hertha attack every game. And at the back, he's in every defensive situation. I don't think you can replace him one-on-one, end quote. And Jonjoe has played in a number of positions. I keep talking about him as a right back because he's predominantly a right back. In fact, 229 appearances in his career as a right back, 9 goals, 31 assists. Woof. He's played as a centre-back 23 times, 18 times right wing-back or right midfield. And he can play at left-back, which he's done 13 times, also registering 1 assist from there. In his career, he's only been sent off once. That was in the Premier League, and it was a second yellow. So I think we can probably say not a dirty or reckless player, we hope. For Hertha, it's 84 appearances, 5 goals, 14 assists, 69 appearances for Everton, 5 assists. In the Bundesliga, with Schalke, 34 appearances, 2 goals, 3 assists. He also made appearances, as I mentioned, for Oxford United, Celtic, and Wigan. Now, Celtic fans, as we'll get to, thanks to Roy's view from, not kind about Jonjoe, but actually the stats suggest he was quite useful because he played 16 times and actually got 4 assists. He was playing right wing back when he was playing at Celtic. Now, he's had a few injuries, had a knock in 2018-19 season, which kept him out for 43 days. He would have missed about 8 games then. He caught a fever, as many of us do, in 2019-20 season. That was in the January. So, yeah, again, many of us do. I've had one earlier this year. Did, though, get torn ankle ligaments in 2020. Not good at all, because they then had the next year an ankle injury on top of that, which kept him out for 30 days. Then he had a knee problem that season as well. 35 days he was out there, and apparently last season suffered muscular problems, which kept him out for Hertha. We hope those injuries are all behind him. The right footer is good at long throws. This is something I was informed about, so nice to have that on both sides. He's determined, he's brave, he's aggressive, but in the right way. It's channeled aggression. Works hard, a real team player. This ticks a lot of Chris Wilder's boxes, and Chris knows a right back. He's got that up and down the pitch, excellent stamina and fitness, which has been repeatedly praised. I've now watched clips and videos and read so much about him that this seems to be the overriding message, that he reads the game well and he gets up and down that right-hand side. He's a good crosser of the ball. It's where most of his chances that he creates for others come from, providing 1.21 successful crosses per 90. But he's not a flair player or particularly great in the air, despite being a great height for a man. We'll get into the data stuff where I start to get confused very soon. But if you get a chance on Twitter to follow 𝗣𝗵𝗲𝗏, in the summer he wrote this: Jonjoe's weaknesses are closing down. I think Kenny has one key weakness from the clips I've seen, and that's not getting to his man quick enough, giving them room to take him on and put in a cross. With only 0.25 successful take-ons per 90 and only attempting 0.60, Kenny is really not someone who's going to be taking on players like Jayden Bogle did. He is more likely to use the ball through passing rather than making runs like Bogle did with the ball down the wing. Now, scouting reports that I've read online from a variety of different sites, and of course these compare players' statistics to other players in their position over a specific amount of time. Each statistic is ranked as a percentile based on how it compares to other players. So the higher the percentile, the better. That's the easy and basic way of remembering it. So let's look at where Jonjoe excels. Shot creating actions, 2.69 per 90, that's in the 80th percentile. Very good pass completion percentage in the 79th percentile. Progressive passes in the 82nd percentile. Now, tackles a little bit lower, 1.98 per game, just the 47th percentile, but interceptions in the 79th. Blocks in the 79th. Clearances in the 89th. 3.34 clearances per 90. Aerial duels, as I speculated, that's 0.94. That's much lower, only in the 44th percentile. His passing stats were really interesting, taken from the 𝗣𝗵𝗲 website, where I won't go through all the numbers and give you all the percentiles, but I'll just point out that passes completed, short passing, particularly strong. 91.3% short passes completed. Medium, 86.6% pass completion. And passes attempted, the long pass, maybe the ping, the harder ones, 9.57 per 90, putting him in the 89th percentile. If we do stats per game, we kind of get a picture of the player. Interceptions per game, 1.6. Tackles per game, 2.2. Balls recovered per game, 3.8. And clearances per game, 3.1. Everton fan Mike Wood said, never moved up to the level that they expected to demand a place, but hoping he does well. Now, we're going to get more detailed thoughts on what Everton fans made of Jonjoe Kenny during his time at Goodison soon. But what about where he would play? Right back seems to make sense. He played right back in a 4-2-3-1 last season for Hertha in a side which finished 9th in the Bundesliga 2. And his heat map seems to place him as being more defensive last season. That's despite me hearing this season, he's been getting forward a lot, being around attacking areas fewer times last season, but still chipping in with 10 goal assists. It's an impressive return. So where does Kenny fit in with Gilchrist, with 𝗍𝗍𝗍, with the formation? Is he the new starting right back or a backup option? Does Gilchrist's partner Anel, now Suter is injured, and return to his parent club, Leicester City? Check out Roy's view for more views, but he's gathered this collection from Hertha fans. Kenny has been phenomenal for us this season. He's been absolutely brilliant the last 2 seasons. Kenny is too good for this team. The numbers are impressive. Kenny defended with dedication on the right side of defence for 1,830 minutes, scored 1 goal and provided an impressive 6 assists, accounting for 26% of Hertha Berlin's goal involvement. It took Kenny a long time to show performances here. That's only in the second league. However, for me, our defence is simply too insecure, and Kenny must be a part of that. I would take the money, says one Hertha fan. So it's not all been positive. Kenny, this is another one, is not a good player with the ball at his feet, and so often too slow in the head. Kenny's scorer figures are regularly misleading. A very large proportion of passes from the defence are played back and then delays for several seconds. Kenny is also limited in his game. He is solid, but I would definitely like more from a fullback. His crosses alone are not always good. And I always ask myself why he runs forward when he can't get a dangerous cross in without being put under pressure. Now, Celtic fans were not so kind, because we had some very kind comments initially there from Hertha fans, and it slightly changed. This was after his loan spell there. Never been a wing-back. He's a defensive full-back. I'm sure he was okay at first, nothing special, but just fine. I'm sad that I'll be seeing his name in worst ever Celtic 11 threads for the rest of time. The worst Celtic player I've seen play more than a dozen games for us, it's not even close. I struggle to believe anyone who has worked in football looked at him and thinks he's a footballer. Those are really scathing from Celtic fans. So, sometimes different environment, it just doesn't work. It has for Jonjoe Kenny in his most recent team, Hertha Berlin. Go further back, Everton fans had these memories. Whatever we think of him, Jonjoe Kenny was a good servant for the club. Jonjoe Kenny looked like a decent prospect at one point. He was slowly getting better in his position, mostly liked by the fans, utility player, and could adjust even though he got caught out at times. I thought he did okay. I don't think Jonjoe Kenny would have been given a professional contract by any club, probably in the top 2 divisions of England. I couldn't believe how bad he was. Next to useless, he was on a one-man mission to relegate us in 2022. I mean, very, very harsh from some of those Everton fans at the end. Majority, I think, fair. Certainly the Hertha fans. And you have to go on, what have you done for me lately? Well, lately for Hertha, it's been very, very good. Admittedly, in Bundesliga 2, the second division in Germany, but he's coming to the second division in England. Let me know your thoughts, Blades fans, in the comments on YouTube. And thank you for watching or listening. If you've checked this out as an audio podcast, which you can get wherever you get your podcasts, just search Sheff United Way.
Ollie, ollie, ollie. Ollie, ollie, ollie.